Junko Furuta was born on January 18, 1971 in Japan. She was an ordinary schoolgirl, distinguished by hard work and conscientiousness. Her peers and teachers described her as a friendly, cheerful girl who dreamed of the future. Junko was popular at school, but was not fond of parties or other risky activities, focusing on studying and part-time work in the store after school. Unfortunately, this bright life ended tragically when Junko became a victim of a series of terrible events. On November 25, 1988, Junko was returning home from school. On the way, she was noticed by Hiroshi Miyano, a member of a local gang. He and his friends considered themselves criminal authorities and often terrorized their neighbors. Miyano paid attention to Junko a long time ago, but she rejected his advances. Offended by the refusal, Miyano decided to take revenge. With a group of 4 young people, including Miyano, they kidnapped Junko. The group consisted of Hiroshi Miyano, Joe Ogura, Shinji Minato, and Yasushi Watanabe. These teenagers were known for their criminal tendencies and connections with the Yakuza, which made them especially dangerous. Junko was kept in the family house of one of the kidnappers, passing her off as a friend of one of the members of the group. Despite the presence of adults, no one intervened. For 44 days, the girl was subjected to unimaginable torture and violence. This included beatings and beatings, repeated sexual assaults, coercion to humiliating actions, deprivation of food and water. Her condition was rapidly deteriorating, but the kidnappers continued to mock her, even inviting other people to participate in violence. These 44 days had become a symbol of incredible cruelty and indifference to human life. On January 4, 1989, Junko died from injuries inflicted on her by the kidnappers. Realizing that she was dead, the criminals decided to get rid of the body. They put her remains in a barrel of cement and threw them into an abandoned area. This act was their last attempt to hide the traces of the crime. Junko's body was found a few weeks later when one of the gang members confessed to the police. This led to the arrest of all 4 main criminals. The trial caused public outrage, especially after it turned out that the punishments for criminals were relatively mild because of their youth. The criminals were sentenced to prison terms, but many considered these sentences insufficient for such cruelty. Hiroshi Miyano received the longest term, 20 years in prison. The rest of the participants received from 5 to 10 years. The story of Junko Furuta caused shock and anger throughout Japan. People demanded reforms in the judicial system and stricter punishments for juvenile offenders. The tragedy also became an occasion to discuss the problem of violence in society. Junko's tragedy occurred at a time when Japanese society was facing growing security challenges. The end of the 1980s was marked by an increase in the level of violence among young people. This was a reflection of broader social changes, including the increasing influence of criminal groups, such as the Yakuza. Junko's story has become a symbol of the need for tougher crime prevention measures. This tragedy still remains a reminder of the need to protect the rights of victims and prevent such crimes. In her honor, films, books, and documentary projects were created so that history would not be forgotten. One of the most famous films based on this story is Concrete, which caused a stormy controversy because of its frank approach to depicting events. Junko's story drew attention to several key issues: the role of the community in crime prevention, the importance of intervention when someone notices signs of violence, and the need to reform criminal legislation so that punishments reflect the severity of crimes. This story also highlighted the need for psychological support for the families of victims and crime prevention among young people. The story of Junko Furuta is not only a story about incredible cruelty, but also a lesson for society about how important it is to maintain justice and protect vulnerable people. Her memory continues to live in the hearts of those who believe in justice and humanity. Despite the horror of events, it is important to remember that every story can become a catalyst for change if the right lessons are learned from it.